As the corporate sector evolves, Burka Africa remains committed to cultivating world-class thought leaders and providing innovative, human-centered solutions that shape a prosperous future for African governments and businesses. About Burka Africa. Burka Africa is a platform that houses expert consultants from across the African sub-region that provide strategic sustainable leadership, organizational development, corporate governance, coaching, and ESG advisory services to businesses and African governments. Burka's strategic thrust is to strengthen strategic alignment for Africa's development by bridging the gap between governments, businesses, and industry experts for leadership and business solutions, serving as a center for excellence and transformative leadership insights in Africa. The consortium is dedicated to shaping ethical, visionary, productive, and sustainable businesses and leadership across Africa. Through advisory, training, and coaching, Berkha supports executives, managers, and organizations in achieving excellence, growth, and sustainable impact. Visit our website www.burkafrica.com for more information.
Because it's a thing that has been given to you.
So that is
now,
yours.
the question is, do you have ownership of that?
Own it.
Have you discovered who you
I have a pen. I bought it from the market. No.
So
It was made by someone. I own it.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining us from. It's the Leadership Dialogue series with Burka Africa. Just like the last time, 2 weeks ago, we gathered and we spoke about the importance of coaching and why the need for coaching, the benefits of coaching. Guess what? This Saturday, we are going to continue our conversation and we are going to delve into the issue of coaching culture among top CEOs. Well, you might not be a top CEO, but you are an entrepreneur. You're always welcome. Whether an entrepreneur in the private or public sector, you are welcome. Today, to help us in the conversation, we are going all the way to, guess where? Uganda. Yes, Uganda. We've crossed all the bridges. We are moving straight from West Africa to East Africa. And that's what Berkha is all about, connecting all African countries to help support African entrepreneurs to make Africa a thriving economy. And today, to help us in our discourse, we would have two coaches. Yes, two coaches. We have, first of all, Joanne Mugenzi from well, of course, from East Africa, from Uganda. She is the first, guess what? The first master certified coach in Uganda with a lot of experience, with about 385 hours of training and 2,500 hours of coaching. That's a lot, right? Yes, she'll be here to share with us her experiences and why the need for building a coaching culture is indeed important. She also works with top clients in the banking sector, the financial institutions, as well as NGOs. And she is also part of the Federation of Professional Certified Coach, and also part of the Coach Masters Academy globally. That's something worth envying. Well, let's welcome Johan Mugenzi. Johan, good morning, good afternoon.
Good morning, Dr. Senyo, and hi, everyone who is able to tune in. I'm happy to connect from the Pearl of Africa.
Thank you. The next the next guest we have is also a certified coach straight from Uganda. So today is going to be a Uganda affair. He is in the person of Dennis Nuagaba, professional transformational coach certified by Coach Masters Academy. It looks like Coach Masters is doing a lot of work. Coach Masters Academy, he also works a member of Transformation Leadership Unveiled. Transformation Leadership Unveiled. He's also going to tell us much more about coaching. He has over 20 years of experience in project design, management, evaluation, and documentation. He has also worked with top clients and as well as NGOs. Well, let's all welcome Dennis Nuagaba. Dennis, good morning, good afternoon. Okay, so Dennis will join us shortly from Uganda. Whilst he joins us, we would like to delve into today's topic right away, and viewers watching us connecting from Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, you are all welcome. And as we continue, as we delve into this today's topic of culture, coaching culture, don't hesitate to send us a message, to send us a comment as we go in. All right, so if you, wherever you're joining us, you also want to find out where you're joining us from. So let's say you're joining us from Kampala, you just say, my name is this, from Kampala, or Uganda, from Accra, from Nigeria. Let us know where you're connecting and joining us from, and then we would appreciate that as well. Good. So Joanna, it's lovely meeting up with you. And then a lot of participants as well would also be interested to know who exactly Johan is. So Johan, basically you have about 20 years of experience. What exactly have you been doing in coaching?
When you talk about 20 years of experience, I wish they were all coaching, but yeah, my background is the NGO sector. First of all, I'm a media person. I started off my career as a journalist, then left journalism and joined the NGO world. I worked with an organization called World Vision. So to me, Ghana is home, because at one point I was coordinating programs across the Africa region, and Ghana was one of those countries that I was supporting. But as you know that in coaching, one of the things that excite us is self-discovery. While I was a young career person, I discovered that I'm an encourager. And so I went through life knowing that the calling on my life is to be an encourager. The only thing I didn't know was, how was I going to package encouraging? Just imagine if I came to you and say, hey, Dr. Senyo, come and I encourage you, and this is how much it's going to cost you. You would think I'm nuts, right? But sure. Along the way, it became very apparent. When I was still working with World Vision, that's one of the scenarios that really changed my life. At that time, we had one Africa region. And then the organization decided that to take the services closer to the people, Africa had to be kind of subdivided into three. So we had East, Southern, and West Africa. But in a meeting where they mentioned that, while I was busy, excited, thinking, oh, this is going to open up opportunities for people, because instead of one region, we have three sub-regions, so more opportunities for people. One of our colleagues started wailing, and the person started wailing like they had lost someone. And for me, this was a little bit shocking, because this is someone who had been in an expatriate job for as long as I knew them. So I was thinking, if somebody at that level is struggling with news where they're not even saying you're going to lose your job, but we are going to restructure, how about somebody who is deep somewhere in the villages of Kumasi, somewhere there? So anyway, yeah, so along the way, I got a burden for the corporate individual. I got a burden for somebody that any ordinary person might look at as privileged, because I realized that, oh, okay, this person seems privileged, but they're not ready for the world. And so that's how I started out. So I chose to leave employment in October 2016. So I've been out of for employment since 1st October 2016. And when I stepped out, it occurred to me that I was going into a world that probably I did not understand. And I chose to just go and study business because I had never done any form of business. And when I stepped out to do business, that is when I realized that the space that I was stepping into, which was the personal development space, there were no barriers to entry, anything goes. And so that was a little bit confusing. I chose to go and do some more research. So when I did research about the personal development, that's how I learned on Coach Masters Academy. You were wondering?
Yeah, because that's a winding story, but very interesting. Before you started in media, you came out to do NGO, and then you had a burden, and then
yes, now I'm looking for the burden. And now that burden have moved. And that's why today's topic is very close to my heart when you talk about building coaching cultures at the top, because I feel if my colleague had somebody who was leading differently, maybe they wouldn't be wailing. So for me, the subject has morphed to really see how do we integrate coaching in workplaces, and that's why coaching culture speaks to me this morning.
Okay, great. So it looks like Dennis was back with us. Dennis, good morning, good afternoon. All right, Dennis. Okay, so basically we started, Joanne, we started with coaching and all that. So what exactly do we mean when we talk about coaching culture? I mean, to start off with, what is it about? I know culture is a way of life of a group of people and all that. So when you add coaching to it and say this is coaching culture, what exactly do we mean for our audience? What exactly does that mean?
I'm glad you went back to defining what culture is, because then we are going to enhance it with with coaching. Because I know that scholars there and there have a very elaborate work on the topic around culture. But when we are talking about coaching, I want to borrow, first of all, the definition of the International Coaching Federation that I subscribe to, where we look at coaching as a partnership between a coach and a client. Now, in this case, we are talking about coaching in a workplace where the partnership is going to be between the leader, manager, and their supervisee. That's how I see it, where we are going to have leaders, managers that are equipped with coaching competencies, that are equipped with coaching skills, and therefore they are modeling behaviors that enhance a coaching culture, who are fully present when they're engaging with their people, who are asking evocative questions that help people to do a lot of thinking, who are going to actively listen and remove all the distractions around them, so that somebody is able to see that I'm here, my leader is with me, and they're given an opportunity to maximize their potential. Because when we talk about maximizing potential, yes, that is in the workplace as a professional, but it will also support them as individuals who step out as a person. That's what I would say.
Okay. It looks like Dennis is with us. Hello, Dennis.
Yes, thank you. Can I compliment Joanne on the coaching culture understanding and definition?
Surely, you may.
Thank you. I think Joanne has already covered the definition of International Coaching Federation, which is partnering with our clients. I just wanted to add a new innovation, which I also picked during one of the training with Coach Masters Academy. I see coaching as a gym I know we are all in the age of making ourselves fit, making sure that we have the muscles to do different things and we remain healthy. So in the same way, a coaching culture is where, and you are also trying to build those muscles, as Joanne was saying. What muscles do we need in leadership in an organization setting? We need the listening. We need the adapting. We need all those situations to adapt to leadership to different situations. So a coaching gym is where we create that environment where leaders will listen to their staff, where they will engage them, where they will exchange ideas, and there is a cohesion between the board of directors, the senior management, the staff implementing, the development partners. So it is like coaching is the cohesion. It is that binding glue that makes it that environment adaptable and possible to have that happen.
Interesting, you said.
For now.
Yeah, interesting. You said coaching is like a glue that
Yes.
an adhesive that sticks or puts together all stakeholders within an organization. And last 2 weeks we were saying that everyone needs a coach, which I reiterated and several times during the program. Said it means whether the top level of the employee, everyone needs a coach. And today we're just going to delve into the top CEOs. Why is it significant for the CEOs or those working at the top levels to subscribe to a coaching culture? Perhaps Joanne might give us an insight into that. Why exactly should those at the top echelons or in terms of leadership subscribe to coaching?
Well, very interesting question. Of course, if you're going to influence the culture of any organization, then it is the top leadership that has the mandate. It is the top leadership that is interacting with the board and therefore would be able to support any initiatives that come in. But at the same time, I am a firm lover of the statement, monkey see, monkey do. So the behavior that the top is going to model in an organization is the behaviors that others are going to mimic. Because Dr. Senyo, you might be aware that for many people, when they come into leadership roles or managerial roles, they get into those roles by virtue of the fact that they were good at their technical competencies. So because I'm very good technically, I am promoted into a managerial role and I have no idea how to perform in that role. So when the leaders at the top begin modeling the behaviors that is expected of any leader, then the others are going to begin mimicking. But there are very many benefits that have been researched. I'm sure people have heard about Project Oxygen by Google, where they came in and just decided to roll out coaching across the organization. But some of the benefits that you're going to see when you model coaching at the top and embrace it as a coaching culture, there's going to be improved performance. We all love performance, right? We want to see results. That is going to happen. And it's only happening because there's trust that has been modeled within the organization. Because like Patrick Lencioni, famous for the 5 dysfunctions of a team, will argue that without trust at the base, everything else that you're doing doesn't make sense. And I think I've come to believe that coaching is one intervention that supports that building of trust and allowing for healthy conflicts, which eventually lead to your commitments that you love, and then eventually you're able to see high engagement and definitely results. Thank you.
Wow, great. I think I wanted to chip in on that, why top management must embrace coaching. Why?
Great. Great. So just to add up to that, Anne Margaret Hamilton Yama from comments joining us on Facebook, she says, and indeed coaching is a partnership that So let me just give the comment first from Margaret, then you can just chip in. So Margaret says, indeed, coaching is a partnership that urgently needs to be practiced in the African context as a strategic move to unlock maximum human potential. So basically, she's basically aligned to what
I guess, Dennis, you can go ahead and add what you are adding.
Okay, I just wanted to add that from where I'm coming from, my experience of Grow program where we are supporting first-time CEOs, coaching is very essential for these top leaders because it provides them self-awareness. You cannot pour from what you don't have. So once they are aware of their potential and their roles, and they are willing to support their teams, then it means. Can I go ahead, Dr. Senyo?
I think go ahead.
Sure. You may. Just I'm
Excellent.
just joining
So,
in. Just go ahead.
I was saying that once the leaders are aware of their roles and their potential, and through coaching to support their teams, then it means that they are going to power from what they have. You can't power from an empty cup. And the second element is the team building and ensuring that the workplace is well nurtured to support people, because it's the workplace that we have people and we have coaching. So certainly team building, team nurturing, relationship nurturing to reach program success requires the coaching. Coaching remains very potential. Then also issues like growing money, which we covered under that module of grow, is really a critical area where many of us, when we are growing, we didn't cover that as a serious area. But here, through coaching, we are made aware about our importance in the resources, financial resources. As a leader, what do you need to do? How do you mobilize it? How do you become a good steward? All that can be inculcated through coaching processes, so that we have very credible leaders who take resource mobilization, accountability as very indeed very important. Then building the brand of the organization and the organization of the leader is another area that is under this Grow program. All those are infused through the coaching processes to build the strengths or the muscles of the leaders, and those are very critical organization development issues that can be done through coaching. Thank you.
Well, interesting then that you share with us what you're doing with the first-time leaders. But I would also want to mention that even the big corporate organizations are beginning to reap and see the benefits of coaching. And I will cite two scenarios here. One of them is the National Social Security Fund here in Uganda, who have embodied coaching, and they have decided to have the entire middle management team equipped with coaching skills. We run, as Imagine Me Africa, we did a program for them that was basically covering leaders as coaches. And what we have seen come out of that initiative is the increased engagement. The employee engagement is a survey that human resource practitioners normally carry out, and it has moved from 80 something to 92%, and it's way on track to hit 95%, which I found quite interesting. The other entity that I can share about is Absa Bank in Uganda. Absa as an entity across Africa have embodied coaching. And one of the things that they do is that the moment they have their managers or leaders in the succession pipeline, they attach them to a coach. And I think for me, that's a very strategic move that they took. So that ideally when people are busy thinking about who is next in line when positions are advertised, they are not struggling with the soft skills and the technical things, because their employees have been have been prepared. So that preparation becomes key. And I think it's one of the things that emerge for organizations when they're able to think about their succession pipeline. It supports them in terms of succession planning within an organization. It increases engagement. It increases growth and provides some form of certainty for people when they realize that the organization they serve is interested in the growth of their people. And so the more organizations embody a coaching culture, starting with the top CEOs being the voice for embodying coaching, then we will see a lot of changes happening in our organizations within the Africa context.
So what are some of the signs you can observe, visible signs you can observe in an organization, and you go like, okay, this organization would need coaching to start with, apart from all the structural organization? You just see, like, you just listen to them and go like, no, these are visible signs that this organization would need a coach in there. So what are some of these signs?
Well, I guess when there is no, I think I can't help but think about what Lencioni suggests that we can always observe. When you see people who are not free to express their ideas, know that something is amiss. When there's a lot of groupthink, know that there's something is amiss. That everything that our leader says is what goes. Then that organization needs coaching, because you can't tell me that everyone around the table is thinking the same. Actually, I like the Burka Africa ad that you run when you people are in an office setup and there are all these arguments that are going on. That just shows a healthy environment, because you need ideas to be popping, and sometimes ideas rub us the wrong way. But the fact that we can get to a point where we are saying these ideas are on the table, can we check in with them? Can we see what is happening? So for me, if I walk in and I realize that there's a lot of telling, then I'm going to think, okay, these people probably need that. Or also when I see that people are talking and they are being interrupted midway, or at the moment the leader says something, everybody goes quiet, then I will know these people are due for coaching. Gone are the days when the leader was the seat of ideas. I think now we have gone for vulnerability. Vulnerability is a gift. A leader that allows people to bring ideas, that's the leader that is going to survive in this century.
Yeah, just echo join that to Joan. You also observe that when you work in this organization, there is a low morale and high employee turnover. If an organization has been losing staff, people are resigning right center, you know that there is a problem. And it also shows when there is a lot of blame game and nobody is taking responsibility or accountability for what is happening in the organization. And that shows that indeed there is a challenge. And another issue that normally shows or presents is the resistance to change. For example, as you might see that some organizations might refuse these innovations because they are going to, coaching might empower people to speak out, to interact with or engage with different ideas, and they can see it as a threat. So when those things happen or you observe those issues, then you know that perhaps there is a challenge here, and there is a need for intervention.
So Dennis, could Dennis follow up to that? Can you give us some experience? Perhaps maybe you have a client or a student, former student you have trained into coaching, and can you just give us a summary of what went into that? Why you felt that there was a need to train other people to subscribe to the coaching culture, and then eventually the person became a coach? Because back though you were talking about one Coach Joy, who was one of your disciples, I must say, and now she is a coach as well. So can you give us an insight into how that discipleship, that mentoring, that coaching of your new coach, how did it all happen? How did it all happen for you? Then we will hear Joy step in and then share her insight into coaching as well.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Senyo. Joy was one of the 4 coaches that I was supporting under GROW program. She's the executive director of Amani Communities Africa, based in Kenya. And Joy joined the GROW coaching program with a lot of enthusiasm, because she wanted the learning. But guess what? During the coaching sessions, she appreciated the importance of coaching to the extent that she started as as CEO, as we talked earlier. It's like it trickles down from the top CEO to the team and to the board. So she was able to demonstrate that whatever we were learning from the coaching sessions, the enlightenment or the insights she was getting, she would take them back, and in the next session she would update me on how things are either working or things are being improving. So she's one role model who has also said that coaching is not actually is not for leisure. It is actually, it's a pertinent. I think Joy represents a movement of leaders who have appreciated the importance of coaching and who are a very strong advocate.
Great.
Coaching.
So Joy, if you are joining us, we would like to hear from you how your experience has been transitioning from a student coach, I might say, even before you even decided to take that step to enroll and to become a coach. Why coaching? How has it been during your process? And after, now that you have now become a coach, how has the experience, and after, now that you have become a coach? Yeah. If my question is clear. So before coaching, during coaching, and after. Okay.
Thank you so much for that question. My name is Jagita, and thank you very much, Coach Dennis, for introducing me. I was one of the members of the last cohort of the GROW program done by CIV South Africa. And I think in hindsight, I'm not sure I was so far behind before the coaching experience that I had. Here we were going through a very intense, very important, very enlightening program that was geared towards having us look into ourselves, our teams, our finances, our visioning, and our the legacies and brand. And what the coaching experience with under Coach Dennis did for me was that, one, it really emphasized the beauty of being vulnerable. And I think someone has actually mentioned it, when you're at the top, you're very vulnerable in terms of, we say the higher you climb the tree, the more your behind gets to show. And when you're up there, all your flaws begin to show. And unfortunately, as the leader, those become the cultures or the values that the organization embodies and the rest of your team. And so it became so crucial for me through the coaching experience to just unpack that. So I really loved each and every session because, one, it made me peel all the different layers that I had. So I could say coaching, number one, is like having your personal pillar, pillar, not pillar like pillar of strength, but pillar, someone who's peeling all your different layers, someone who is also coming into the coaching session with a vuvuzela. We would laugh about this with Coach Dennis because, it's somebody who encourages you through the process to just go into those dark areas, those areas you've never dealt with in terms of your leadership journey, and being able to just put them at the front and, naming them and looking at how to deal with them. And it's also a gong. someone who echoes some of the ideas that exist in your mind as a leader, and perhaps you're not confident to say them. When they echo it, you're like, okay, I'm not doing so badly. So I really did enjoy that coaching period, especially because I was going through a transition period. I was taking over an organization that the founder had been leading it for 20 years. So I was now coming in, and I felt, lost, and I was getting the support, but there's a journey I needed to take by myself, and the coach really helped me with that. In terms of during, I've explained the pre and the during. So in terms of the post, I think what I can mention, I am not yet a coach. Perhaps it's something I would do in the future. But one of the things that I really appreciate in my day-to-day life as a leader is I constantly go back to our notes, and I'm like, yeah, we mentioned this, and this is what I need to do. So it's given me a bit of structure in how I think as a leader. It's given me confidence to know that I can do this. And, sometimes as a leader, people think you have it figured out. People think you know everything. But in all honesty, you're so vulnerable. Half the times you have more questions than answers. So I would say that coaching is not a luxury. It's not a luxury. I used to think of it as a luxury, but coaching is actually so essential for leaders. And I really hope that young leaders like myself can get to know about this and can be able to access coaching experiences that would improve them as people, and also improve their organizations and all the people that surround their organizations. So I can say that I'm not there yet, but I know that through that coaching experience and subsequent ones, I'm going to steer the organization into the right direction, starting with myself and my team and everybody around the organization. So thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you, Joy. Thank you for your insightful experience, and then your work through coaching. And thank you as well for Dennis walking us through. And this is a concrete, a tangible example. Before I come to you, Joanne, on another important question, perhaps I would like to also introduce another coach who here in Ghana, because we have done Uganda. The Uganda team are on it now. We want to spice it a bit from the east. So we are moving from the east to the west. And so we have Lizanne Kwabeji who is currently the executive coach, country lead for Burka Africa. And she's also trained she was trained from the Center for Reimagine Africa. She works with public sectors, etc. She has a whole lot of portfolio to share with us. But then just a quick one. I want to introduce Lizanne, and then Lizanne, welcome. Lizanne, if you're joining us, okay. Yeah.
Hi,
welcome.
Good morning.
Good
morning from Ghana. Good afternoon from wherever you are joining in. And It's quite an interesting conversation. Thank you for having me. Dr. Senyo, I'm actually trained by Berkha, Coach Masters. So Coach Juan is my senior.
Okay.
And I think Coach Dennis came after me.
All right. Yeah. So it's a meeting of the coaches.
Interesting conversation you are having there.
Sure.
And a lot of takeaways I'm putting, like you said. I am with Africa Leadership University. I am an executive coach with their Center for Reimagined Africa, where they pull together public sector leaders across Africa. They take them through a professional program, and they have a 6-month coaching session where they have coaches from all over Africa, of which I am one of them. We coach heads of department from various countries, presidential advisors, ministers of state, and it's a core requirement as part of for the completion of their program that they must go through coaching sessions for 6 months to help them become self-aware, help them to improve their leadership effectiveness and impact. Because like the other coaches have said, you cannot lead others if you do not understand your first self. So the benchmark in support to what they are saying is, you cannot lead others if you have not understood
yourself. Okay, so basically, Lizanne, you've introduced a different a tweak to the conversation, which I would let you explain, expatiate, and then I'll roll over to Joanne to continue our discussion. You made mention of, you give the sense that at every point in an organization's life, whether be it a new manager coming in to take over an organization, as part of the orientation process, there should be a compulsory coaching session for the top executives. Because let's say somebody is taking over a new position, a new role in another firm. There is the first of all, usually what they do is to get to know that new organization's culture and all that, imbibing in it. But then you are saying that there should be a coach for that executive. As in, the executive should have a coach for that organization. Is that what you are trying to promote?
Exactly my point, Dr. Senyo, and that is part of the awareness creation that Burka Africa seeks to set across the region. Leadership is very demanding, and like I said, you can only lead others when you have understood yourself. So coaching provides a reflective space where leaders can process pressure, stay grounded in their values, and maintain energy for the long haul. It's actually a tool for continuous personal and professional renewal. So once the leaders have access to be coached, to discover themselves, to harness their potentials, they get into a space of personal transformation. And it is only the transformed that can transform. So those processes, that personal transformational road that they went through, discovering themselves, discovering their values, opening up, unlocking initiatives, creativity through the questions that are being asked during the coaching sessions. The leaders get to that point of awareness, and then they now, in turn, shift from micromanaging the people they lead into empowering them, because they have been empowered, they have encountered themselves through coaching, and they would want to replicate the same and have the same experience experienced by the people they lead.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lizanne, for that contribution. Thank you also, Joy, for the insightful experience. You sharing your experience with us, what coaching does and what coaching has the potential to do. And if you're joining us from all our social media platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, all Facebook, and which one again? I guess yeah. So wherever you're joining us from, send in your questions, send in your comments, and we'll be glad to read them out. And if there are questions, ask our panel. So Joanne, this just follow up to what Lizanne just said, that the importance of having a coach in there for transition purposes and all that. So in your experience, what are the typical barriers, okay, you have encountered whilst trying to push or introduce the coaching culture into organizations which hitherto did not have? Because I'm thinking, okay, we've explained the necessities or the importance of or the benefits of coaching, but have you, in your experience, in your professional experience, encountered barriers where you've seen what this organization is going through and you go like, this, you would need a coach, but then the organization seems to be cut in their own old ways, that they are no, we don't need a coach. So what are some of these barriers that you perhaps have encountered? A similar question would also go to Coach Dennis as well. So Joanne, have you ever encountered barriers in trying to promote or introduce coaching cultures, especially to leaders? That would be my question.
Very interesting question. And 2 or 3 things that I want to kind of point towards. One, I think that investment around coaching is the greatest barrier, because coaching is still, and this is where we remember Joy was saying that coaching is not a luxury, it's an essential. When it comes to pricing, it becomes a luxury product. And so I think what leaders grapple with is how do they justify a return on investment? And that is where we are at in terms of struggling with how do we support them to see the return on investment away from the anecdotal information, because any coach will have many joys around them. Now, where are the joy stories in form and shape that supports? And that's why, for example, I celebrate the National Social Security Fund, because they are able to give us hard facts of this is where we were at 80 something, we've moved to 92, and our employee engagement score is moving towards 95%. Those are things that leaders would want to hear. The second barrier is many times it is perceived as taking a lot of time, because they feel, am I going to sit here and begin listening to all these other stories and all those different things? So they see it as a waste of time from that form. But the big piece, and this is where I'm going to challenge all of us, Burka Africa, myself with Imagine Me Africa, the International Coaching Federation, the different chapters that we have, we need to invest in research and have hard data. I am a student, or I'm a doctoral student for strategic leadership, and I have picked a lot of interest in workplace coaching. But I will tell you that there's a study that I came across that was, oh my God, I didn't realize, or we didn't realize, that much as we talk about coaching, many of us, as we go into organization, we introduce coaching as a foreign concept. So people look at this coaching, and we are talking about all these different models. Some of the models sound very scary, even just mentioning them to clients. And a study was done in Australia, and the topic of it is very interesting because they called it a Trojan. So by the time you move into an organization, they're already thinking, not another intervention. We already have a lot that is going on. So how we package this information around coaching matters. If we are not careful, people are going to, it will be dead on arrival. And I think the work that we have to do is, one, around being able to demonstrate the return on investment for our clients. Two, have hard evidence from our entities that provides them with information that can help them move away from anecdotal information, because that anecdotal information, yes, it is as good as the testimonial that they give, but a testimonial, a single testimonial, will not change an organization to say we are putting money on the table. But three, one of the ways we are now positioning coaching is, and that's, I am kind of now leading the championing of workplace coaching, where we are saying, take it away just from the top leadership. Let them see coaching as integral to an organization, so that when we go in there, we are solutioning for the organization. We are not just solutioning for the top leaders. The more we talk about top leaders, the more competition we are even going to have. I'll tell you that here in Uganda, I have seen organizations that will leave coaches in Uganda. And it sounds fancy to say, I have my coach from the UK, I have my coach from this other part of Africa. And I'm thinking, where are you leaving the 300 plus coaches in the country? So we have a lot of work to do. So Lizzie Ann, as you spearhead coaching in Ghana, coming from a point of view of empowering, of equipping. Actually, I celebrate you both when I hear Lizzie Ann being the first a graduate of Coach Masters Academy. Then I celebrate the fact that Uganda opened up the doors for Coach Masters Academy. When I hear Dennis celebrate the GROW program actually, I did write the concept, the first concept note that was funded by the International Coaching Federation. And I celebrate when I see what is happening in there, because many times these stories are forgotten. We forget where the journey has started from. And I am one person who loves telling stories and sharing where it all began, so that when we are seeing the fruits, we understand what are the soils that are under there. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. As our viewers are enjoying this, we would have to go for a breather. And then once we are back, my next question would go to Dennis on some of the tools and methodologies that leaders can leverage on to unlock potentials, as in the human potential in institution, as well as productivity. So let's go for a quick break, and then we will be back shortly.
Across Africa's boardrooms and backrooms, a new era is rising. It's time to stop surviving and start thriving. Introducing Growth and Grind Africa, the game-changing radio show for leaders, dreamers, and doers. Every Thursday at 5 p.m. on Unique 95.7 FM. We bring you real conversations on leadership, coaching, transformation, and strategy. No fluff, just tools to grow, lead, and win in today's world. Whether you're behind the decks, behind the wheel, or at home, this is your moment to plug in, level up, and transform your hustle into impact. From purpose to performance, we've got you. Starting 17 July 2025, live on Unique 95.7 MHz and on all Burka Africa social media platforms, Facebook, X, YouTube, and TikTok. Growth and Grind Africa. Learn it, lead it, live it. This program is powered by Burka Africa and L&D Africa, and also live on L&D Africa social media platforms.
Thank you once again for joining in. And then, so you saw in those adverts a lot of things happening here in Burka Africa, partnering in other institutions to make to promote coaching in Africa and leadership as well. So we saw, first of all, we saw them a discussion, dialogue series, a discussion with leaders in Ghana at the Marriott Hotel. That was what the event that took place last week, to talk about a policy that the government is rolling out, a 24-hour economy policy. And in our case was, well, it's fine print, nice, interesting ideas, but then you would also need that coaching, that changing of mindset from the bottom to up, or up to bottom, from leadership to the employee, from the employee to the leadership. Everyone needs a change mindset to make this happen. And that's what we've all been talking about. Coaching. Everyone needs a coach. Also coming up with here in Ghana, the ICF's accredited level 1 coach certification. So Burka Africa is spearheading that together with Zoe Consult here in Ghana. It's going to be a 4-day in-person coaching. And then for more details, just go to www.burkaafrica.com. And then you have all the details, and all that is essential and needed for that. And if you also want us to do that similarly in wherever you're joining us from, reach out to Burka Africa. Go to our website, send an email, send an email, introduce yourself and and see how we will get back to you and see how we can collaborate appropriately. And then last but not least, we would also be having a boot camp here in Ghana for CEOs, directors, and that boot camp is happening live somewhere in October. So it's going to be a 3-day boot camp, residential. So you all have it will be a relaxing atmosphere where we take our CEOs and executives through 3 days intensive, but also relaxing atmosphere, in a relaxed atmosphere of what it means when it comes to the theme that we will be addressing is boardroom strategy and leadership, steering business growth, innovation, and sustainable impact. So this time around we are going to be our in-house consultants from Burka Africa. We are going to spearhead that, and then it's going to be a wonderful time. So before we take comments from our viewers and audience, I would like to get to one particular question I asked before the break. So Dennis, so my question was, what are some of the tools, what tools or methodologies can leaders leverage on to unlock their institutions' human potential and drive productivity? Some tools that you can recommend, maybe 2 or 3 that you over the years as a coach, practicing coach, have suggested to or helped leaders to use in building up productivity and then human capital.
Okay, thank you. One of the, I will share just 2 or 3 tools. The first one is the learning session, and under the Grow program, these learning sessions were structured in a way that they would bring what you call field experts. When the joys were during the coaching, there would be sessions where the CEOs or the first-time CEOs interact with the the experts around the modules which I said earlier, and that's like on money management, self leadership and management, branding. So all those modules would be managed by people who are experts in those particular areas, and it proved very, very effective because the leaders, these leaders were able to pick very quality content and knowledge, and it really informed them on what needs to be done in each of these critical areas. Then the second one was after that, there was pairing. Another method is called the coaching sessions now, where which I prefer to call a coaching gym, and those ones are sessions where Joy and Coach Dennis would now unpack the onion, or unravel the onion, to now talk about the real issues. What are the real challenges? And the coachee would come up with the solution. So learning sessions is another effective method or tool that can be used to empower the coaches along this journey. Then the other one also is about the hurdles. People at the same level, as Coach Joan was saying, that we need to take the coaching beyond the top and trickle it down. But it can work when we pair mid-level managers or staff towards the implementation together, so that they share experiences under the coaching framework, so that there is a lot of peer learning, peer support to reinforce their learning and reinforce their action. And the other tool is about reading materials, sharing reading materials. We are very lucky that we are in the age of digital, whereby we can source these materials on leadership, on management, and we share them through to stimulate change, stimulate action. So reading materials or podcasts is another tool that we can use amidst us to empower the coaching journey and leadership.
Thank you, Dennis, for your thoughts on that. There's some of the tools and methodologies that can be employed. So we said peer learning. You can also be using as digital tools as well. A very good one. So some comments from our audience online. So Julia says hi. Okay, hi back. Hi, Julia. And then Patience said, glad to be part of this program. Very interesting. Great. And then Anne Margaret also said, indeed, researchers are the backbone of the coaching profession, transforming coaching from an art into a science with evidence, theory, best practices for elevated credibility, effectiveness, and ethical standards. I think that also ties in with what Joanne was talking about, the return on investment, so that it will not just be left at the anecdotal stage, but also tangible, the return on investment, so that you can say that, okay, quality data is available to support that because of coaching and all the essentials that we've had, our institutions have been turned around. That is a great thing to look into, and then we would also be delving into. But before a final question for our panel, our guests, what advice would you give to, or what suggestion, might I say, would you be given to leadership of institutions to incorporate a coaching culture? What suggestion would you give for organizations who are perhaps listening to us, or individuals listening to us who find themselves in leadership roles? What kind of advice can you give out to them to incorporate or embrace coaching culture in their structure of organization?
I think as I respond to that question, I want to first go back to the question on tools, especially when we talk about things like the self-awareness. There are a couple of tools that I would recommend. Some of them you can find free versions. Some of them you have to pay. Strength Finder is a very good tool that enables you to really understand who you are. So Strength Finder would be one of those that I recommend. I would recommend Myers-Briggs. Myers-Briggs is another one. There's a free version that people can use, so that as you get to understand the personality types around you, you're able to support them better. At institutional level, Clarity 4D is a big one that even organizations here in Uganda have picked up when it comes to executive education programs. Clarity 4D and Insight Discovery are good tools to kind of consider. And in terms of books, since Dennis talked about the need for you to read, I will still strongly recommend The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team by Patrick Lencioni that I've been alluding to. I would recommend Mastery by Robert Greene, because it enables you to kind of do a lot of deep dive. But also, one of the books that I always find intriguing is How to Win Friends and Influence People. Those are books that I would heavily recommend. Of course, reflective moments become very crucial. But when it comes to the advice to kind of give to leaderships of institutions to incorporate a coaching culture is start with some champions. You don't have to go in full throttle, but start off with some champions. And yeah, if you can allow me, for example, we as Imagine Me Africa, we initiated the Workplace Coach Program. And the reason for that is that we want to just get people to be able to design their own coaching programs internally. And so we equip people with practical skills. So I have seen that Burka Africa has a training program coming up. Send some of your leaders to that kind of training so that you test the waters with a few people. And if you like what you experienced, then open up your doors. And the coaches will be there to support you to design these programs. Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you.
And since you said that you have people online, please follow me on LinkedIn. I'm Joanne Mugenzi on LinkedIn. That's what you'll find. If you're an Instagrammer, you'll find Imagine Me Africa. If you're a TikToker, you'll find Imagine Me Africa. I'll be happy to connect with the Burka Africa community. Thank you.
Thank you. And Dennis, final word of advice or suggestion for organizations concerning building a coaching culture.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Senyo. I think to build an organization culture, I think I will build on the other point we had discussed previously. There is a need to invest in research, starting small. I think Joanne mentioned on how NSSF has really fully embraced. We can start small, bringing on board the human resource departments of different organizations and breaking into evidence collection. Testimonials will work, but we also need hard evidence, as we earlier discussed. So there is a need to put the figures that can convince the people who are in the finances to release the funds to invest in coaching. So it is very important that we build the case for coaching, and also share the testimonials of what has already worked. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity. I want to acknowledge Civisource, which gave me the experience of coaching under Grow, that has been able to generate this experience, because without these many experiences, we don't know whether coaching is working. But through people like Joy Gitau, you can hear from what she's speaking that coaching is really very impactful. It works, and we need to embrace it to develop our leadership in Africa.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Joanne, and thank you, Dennis, for joining us in for today's meeting, for today's program on coaching culture. And that is all what Burka Africa is trying to do and has been doing over the years. Burka Africa, we have coaching services, as we've been mentioning. In addition to that, there is the leadership coaching essentials, development coaching, team coaching, managerial coaching offerings, and as well as ESG. We do leadership and governance as well. So whether across Africa, we have partners all across Africa. So whether in Ghana, in Monrovia, in Sierra Leone, Freetown, in Kampala, whether in Zimbabwe, Zambia, wherever, whether even in Francophone countries, whether Burkina Faso, Mali, Mozambique, we've got you. Burka Africa has a lot of experience and consultants, researchers who are part of the team, coaches, everything that has to do with human capital development and coaching at the top echelons, as well as we also work with NGOs as well. So we have a youth development program where we have the coaching and then mentoring lab, which would kickstart in Nigeria, then move to Liberia, Freetown, Mali, Burkina Faso, Ghana. And if you're hearing us and you want us to come to your lovely country, just reach out to burkaafrica.com and send a message, and we'll be glad to get back to you. Thank you so much, our guest, Joanne and Denise, as well as Joy, who intermittently joined us, as well as, and also Liziane for joining. My name is Dr. Senyo Kluchedo, and it's been a pleasure serving you on this platform. So we meet in 2 weeks, continuing with our dialogue series. It's bye for now. Bye.
Because it's a thing that has been given to you. So now, the question is, do you have ownership of that? Have you discovered who you are? I have a head. I bought it from the market. No. So it was made by someone. I own it.